It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome. It is the Patrick Johnson Show from Tiebreakers here on 94.3 The Game, our first PJ show from TB1, the original Tiebreakers in Bells Fork off of Smithwick. And it's great to have you with us here on this sunny and cool afternoon. Great P-Man here. William, back in the mix.
Back in it. Excited to kick off the semester.
Are you?
Kind
Don't
of.
seem like it. Okay. All right. You're ready for baseball, aren't you?
Yes. Looking forward to Pirate baseball.
But you follow the basketball team.
I do follow the basketball team, and I feel like if Memphis didn't have the fourth best player in the country, arguably, then the Pirates walk out there with a win.
Yeah, maybe. We're going to have Travis Hancock T-Bone on the show with us today. We have Philip the Ref Pilkington back at Network Control. And, of course, we're going to have Inside Pirate Athletics with Coach Swartz coming up in just a little bit. Pilk, I see you made it back in one piece. So I'm proud of that fact that you did you traverse slippery conditions, or did you just stay up in the triangle on Friday?
Nah, I traversed the slippery conditions. Honestly, the worst part is Wags' new apartment complex is on like this road that's got a really bad hill, and they did not scrape it nor salt it. So when I pulled out you pull out and you're already in the middle of the hill, and I obviously didn't have enough speed. So luckily there's nobody behind me, so I just backed it down, got to a flat area, gunned it up, went up the hill at about 50 miles an hour, and that was that.
You didn't fly in the air or slide off, did you?
No.
Look at you. Really, just want to say one thing here, and I mean, we'll stick to sports, but, just a terrible deal with the realtor who's alleged to have shot and killed 3 people on Friday here in Greenville. Just terribly sad stuff. And a guy that apparently had quite a cache of weapons on him. I mean, it seemed like he was hell-bent on really doing some major damage, and just a sad situation. So just wanted to say that. Our thoughts, prayers, condolences go out to the people affected by this, family, friends of the victims. Really just terrible stuff. And the people, too, that this guy worked with, you feel really, really bad for them because they had nothing to do with this, apparently. And, just kind of by proxy, maybe dragged into, the reputation sullying that tends to go on. So a really sad situation there. Exciting weekend. Dom, is Dom producing the coaches show tonight?
No, Isaac's doing the coaches show tonight.
Dom is going to be pre-gaming for his Vikings playing the Rams in Glendale.
That is exactly why he asked Isaac to do it, so he can be focused on those Vikings.
Be focused. Like, that's going to make a huge difference if Dom is not locked in. All right, I feel good for Dom, though. I'm feeling the Vikings on this thing, Pilk. What do you say?
Hey, what was that? Sorry, I was talking to Isaac about something. My bad.
No, I said I'm feeling the Vikes on this.
I'm going to stick to my guts. So what I said Friday, I got
LA?
the upset. Yeah, I had to pick one upset. Clearly, I messed up because there's already been a couple, and I didn't pick the right ones. But yeah, I think that Stafford's better than Darnold. And even though Jefferson's better than Kupp, I'm a little worried with how much man the Vikings play if they can guard Puka and Cooper Kupp.
All right, what do you say?
I have to say Vikings on this one. I realize there has been quite a few upsets, but I think that the Vikings will go there and take care of business.
This is why I like William. Smart guy. No, we'll see how it goes. Let's for the artists formerly known as the Redskins, they got their first win in the postseason in 19 years last night. This is what the sound, the game-winning sound sounded like. The game-winning call sounded like from Redskins radio.
Gonzalez looking to send Washington into the divisional round. Snap good, hold down, kick on its way. It is good! The Cardiac Commanders are the Clutch Commanders! They do it again! We'll see you in Detroit!
And Zay Gonzalez kicks in the door and kicks us into the second round of the playoffs!
That's awesome. That's great stuff there. Bram Weinstein, who used to be on ESPN and has been calling Redskins games for years. Fabulous call. And, Pilk, I don't know who his analyst is. Look up who's the analyst on the Washington Commandos radio network. I'm sure it's a former player. But he was great because so many times these bonehead analysts want to scream and interrupt the play-by-play call. And this guy still had his enthusiasm, still put his punctuation on a great play-by-play call, and didn't talk over the guy like a goober.
I am seeing Logan Paulson.
Okay. I don't know if that's the case, but whoever it is, good on them because they had enough sense to lay out, not yell like a Yahoo, and let the play-by-play guy do his job. I have an evolving take on that. I used to not mind it, but it's irked me in later years, Pilk. Before, I didn't ever want the analyst to speak when I was speaking. And then I didn't mind it, but now I hear it so often, it just irritates me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think there's a time and a place for it, but when you're doing an iconic final call, I want to let the play-by-play. But it is, when you're emotionally invested, especially like now TV, when I say TV, I mean national TV, right, where the color guy has no affiliation with the team. I know that's definitely easier. You shouldn't do it. It is a little tougher when you're a player, a former player who's played for that team. I know, because you almost become a fan of the moment. But I'm with you, Patrick.
Well, that's fine. I get that, and sometimes that's good. But the guy added a nice punctuation to it and was really professional and still got to come across as an emotional fanboy. But don't scream like a lunatic and, over somebody who's, as you say, trying to describe what's going on, particularly in radio, trying to describe what's going on. Do you have anything to say?
No.
Very wisely, you're not interrupting me. So that's very wise on your part.
I guess I'm a visual learner, an audio learner.
Yeah, there you go. An audio learner.
But no, I have to agree with your take on this. That the play-by-play guy, I mean, sure, he's the head person. He gets all the glory, but it's good to see when the color guy
Trust
and
me.
the analyst.
Trust me. I've been doing this for 31, 32 years. Play-by-play guy gets no glory. Trust me about that.
The analyst just adds on a little bit at the end and maybe add some passion, emotion, and something that connects it with the team.
But that was an awesome call. Had I picked again, had we had a show and I'd given, I actually, or did I say the Commanders? I thought I said the Commanders, Pilk.
I think you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday.
Got that one right. So who's this that's gone woke? This is the Molly. Yeah, I'm glad you pulled this.
Yeah.
Molly McGrath, who is probably just doing her job. When Notre Dame won to go to the College Football National Championship, lays out there, it's Marcus Freeman who's their coach, right?
Correct. Also, I'm going to stop you right there. Before we go to just doing her job, let's remind everybody she was born in San Francisco and went to school at Boston College. So it could have been her.
Say no more. Say no more. But what I'm saying is, there are things that are part of the story, but there are things that the world woke leader has tried to make part of the story, or that people in the business sort of force a narrative. We see it in news all the time, but obviously in the last several years it's encroached into sports. And I love this guy for Notre Dame, this coach. I mean, I know it's in vogue not to like Notre Dame, but I'm rooting for him like hell a week from tonight against Ohio State. I can't stand Ohio State. But here is Molly McGrath trying to bait Freeman into kind of a woke agenda. And his answer to this ridiculous question was perfect. Hit it.
because you are the first black head coach to go to a national championship game in college football. Just hearing that response alone, how much does this mean to you?
You know, I've said this before. I don't ever want to take attention away from the team. It is an honor, and I hope all coaches, minorities, black, Asian, white, it doesn't matter, great people continue to get opportunities to lead young men like this. But this ain't about me, this is about us. And we're going to celebrate what we've done because it's something special.
So an even bigger pop when he said that. Of course, Molly couldn't acknowledge that because, again, it would have been counterintuitive to the agenda that she was peddling. And look, I get it. There was probably somebody in her ear pushing that. You know, people screenshot stuff and send it to me all the time during these basketball. Apparently people just sit around or in message boards during games. This is a thing. Which, I mean, they spend their lives on message boards anyway. Because, you know, they've never kissed a girl in a lot of cases. I mean, they haven't. Let's just be honest. Call spade a spade. But, so if they say something disparaging, oh, well, can you believe Johnson just said that? Sometimes you are asked by a producer who's producing you to say something. And you do have decision whether or not to say it. We also are getting angles of stuff that you all at home aren't getting. So I wonder if Molly was being produced to say that. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say she was, because I would like to think she has a little more awareness than that. But you are right. Grew up in the Bay Area and went to Boston College. That's an elitist position. But I love the fact, I love the answer that Freeman had, and I love the pop that the crowd had when he said what is the honest to God's truth.
Yeah, I agree with you, Patrick. And I, if I had to guess, I'd say somebody's in her ear. And obviously, she doesn't want to end up having to happen to her what happened to David Pock. Because if you speak out when ESPN tells you to go woke, then, or if you don't do it or you're free speaking, you get fired like he did. So, I mean, obviously, she's young. She wants to keep her job. So, like you said, it was probably some high up jerk at ESPN.
It was probably some producer that wanted this agenda pushed. Yeah.
Hey, let's bring politics into sports. Let's make this thing about race, and credit to Marcus Freeman for, not playing the race card and saying, hey, let's make sports about the victory of 85 young men that went out there and won a football
true
game.
Content of your character and your performance, not checking boxes. David Horn, ladies and gentlemen, always doing a fabulous job. He's getting set up from the network perspective. One other thing from the weekend. This is from Coach K's radio show that he does, I guess.
Yep. I guess
Podcast
it was like
that he
late
does
last week, like Friday or yep.
Okay. This was Coach K with little Ricky Pitino on the idea of a mega conference. Let's see what this is about here, and then we'll comment. Hit it.
Our conference has been a great one. I think it needs to get better. We're down result-wise in both men's basketball and in football, at least the bowl games. And I'd like to see something innovative, like I'd like to see the ACC and the Big East talk and form a mega basketball conference.
It was interesting. A few weeks ago, I heard on Coach K's show a clip where he talked about the P4, but he included the Big East in that. And I thought to myself, the Big East is a Power 5 in basketball, because certain people push that agenda. And it's a very good conference, don't get me wrong. It certainly isn't what it used to be, but it's a very good conference. Obviously, the national champion the last 2 years has come out of that conference. But I sit here and I think to myself, whenever a coach speaks, I'm always listening to read between the lines. What are they really trying to say? And that's what Coach K was really trying to say. I consider the Big East a big time. So when I come up with this cockamamie idea that we expand the ACC in basketball, let's add the Big East, a bunch of basketball schools. Duke may wind up in the Big East. But I think, again, the thing that a lot of people have missed, Duke is committed to football. They've got a better infrastructure. They got gobs of money. And they're in a better position to leave the ACC for greener pastures than Wake, Virginia Tech, NC State. I know my Woofy friends aren't going to like that, but that's the truth.
You know, the thing is, though, too, Patrick, he went on, and I didn't put the whole, minute and a half soundbite in there. He said, sounds like they're going to build a mega conference for football, so why don't we do it for basketball? And, you know, the tough thing is obviously the mega conference football would have some sort of divisions. You'd have to do that here. It'd be 29 teams. So there would be a path to that. But it is interesting because, like you said, if there is a break-off, Duke can very much be a part of this thing. They've proven really in the last 14 months.
Here's the thing that Duke has and here's the thing that Duke has that a lot of these football playing schools in the P4 don't have. They're a name brand. And it's because of basketball. I mean, let's be honest. They're the only program that through basketball is as popular as football teams. Now, again, their numbers, they draw the biggest numbers usually on television for basketball annually. And there are occasions where it draws 8 to 10 million, depending on the time of year, who they're playing, et cetera. NCAA tournament, postseason especially. But it doesn't, obviously outrate a regular season game on a Wednesday or Tuesday is not going to outrate a bowl game. It's just the facts. And Duke's bowl football game, even though they got their doors blown off, actually had a really good number. I think it was like 5 million watched it. So they're spending money.
They are.
But they're the one group. They are the one that can, if they're committed to football, even if they're not uber successful, with the basketball and the money it generates, afford to be able to go to whenever this thing goes mega. And Kay's looking at this from his perspective. I mean, really what they ought to do is football needs to have its own conference. And we either need to go back regional or do something different with basketball. There don't need to be 360. Yeah, there don't need to be 360 D1 basketball teams.
There doesn't. And the thing is, if this break-off happens, unfortunately, the NCAA, they would be dumb to, but they might say adios to these 60 or 70 schools in every sport. Now, they'd be dumb to because the NCAA's biggest moneymaker is a 67-game college basketball tournament that is played among 68 teams every March. And you want to have as many of those guys in there. But look, Duke knows that if that's what it's going to have to take to stay afloat is to leave and break off with the Ohio States and the Alabamas of the world. They're willing to do it. And like you said, they're not going to be great at football, but they'll be good enough, and they'll be willing to put in enough money that they'll be respected by Alabama, by Ohio State, by Notre Dame, by USC, by Texas.
Well, tell you what, let's get a break. We'll get some thoughts on the weekend and some thoughts on this from our friend Travis Hancock T-Bone from F&Z out in Charlotte. Have him on in a few minutes. We'll talk NFL playoffs with him. We'll talk college football playoff. We'll talk some of the college basketball from the weekend. 42 for Cooper Flagg. Pirates, of course, lost to Memphis, played them really tough and legitimately tough in the second half. If time allows, we'll get to some of those cuts a little later in the show. But Travis Hancock, when we come back, we're at Tiebreakers. It's the Patrick Johnson Show.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Shotgun with you on the drive home. It's showtime. This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back. We're at Tiebreakers. We'll have Inside Pirate Athletics coming up at the top of the hour. Travis Hancock, WFNZ, joins us. T-Bone from out in the Queen City. Travis, how are you, buddy?
Everything going okay?
Yeah, good. We got you now. You doing all right?
Yeah, man. How are things with you? Everything all right?
Yeah, no, all's good. What have you heard?
Okay,
no,
good.
Everything's good. Everything's great. Everything's great. So we played a little cut from Coach K talking about he wants the ACC to go super conference with the Big East. Now, clearly he only wants this for basketball because we know the Big East has no football. I guess they have UConn that plays football as an independent. But
yeah.
Anyway, I heard Kay a couple weeks ago, or I heard a cut on social, something where he was lumping the Big East in there with, the P4. And I thought, well, that's kind of curious. It's a good conference, but I don't know if it's as good as the SEC or, what. But now or the Big 12, but now I know why. Because it was the method to Kay's madness. When he was going to propose this cockamamie idea to merge the Big East and ACC in basketball, he just couldn't say, oh, we'll merge the ACC with the Big West or anything. No, you had to do it with somebody who was a P5. So that's why he identified him as such. So, but what do you think of that, T-Bone?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of unknown when it comes to the ACC schools that aren't Florida State, Clemson, and the non-premier football schools of what's going to happen to Wake Forest and Duke and those schools. And I've said for a while that, there is a path for Duke to at least join the Big East for basketball if they had to, because, that also would include maybe, the Syracuses of the world. I don't know, but they could make a pretty premier basketball conference when you factor in Villanova and UConn and Duke and potentially Syracuse. Like, I could see the path that Duke could end up in the Big East in time, depending how the whole football thing eventually shakes out in the ACC. But it seems far-fetched right now, but it often does when we talk about these things in college athletics. And next thing you know, it's a reality. So we'll see what happens down the line.
I think Duke's going to wind up in the Big Ten. That's just
really
me. Yeah, that's what I they're spending on football. The basketball brand is strong enough, gives the Big Ten a foothold. They don't care about, at least the SEC's kind of stayed connected. And, the academics.
I think UNC ends up in the Big Ten eventually. I think that's their
I think they both could go.
end. Yeah, they could. Yeah. If UNC goes, then I guess I can see where they could as well.
That would be great marketing. Though. You think you'd have Duke, Carolina, Indiana, and UCLA. I mean, you got everybody but Kentucky and Kansas as far as perennial blue bloods in one conference.
And Michigan State.
It's crazy.
Oh, good point.
Yeah. Michigan State as well. The great T-Bone from WFNZ joins us here. Cooper Flagg over the weekend, 42, and Duke ended up needing every one of them, it seemed like.
Yeah, he's really hitting his stride since the calendar flipped to 2025. Like he was really good when the year began, but it feels like the last week or so he's gone to the level of now you're fully seeing that phenom that battled Team USA, and the other freshmen are coming along with them as well. But yeah, he's really the shot starting to fall. He's becoming consistently great now. He's been good. But now you're seeing the greatness at the highest level, and he's only going to get better, too. And he does everything right. There's very little weaknesses in his game.
North Carolina gets a big win over the weekend against NC State in a ugly first half. Got obviously competitive down the stretch with the lead changing and then tied, and then obviously North Carolina on the dunk goes ahead, and then the block shot at the end, which was a clean block as much as it pains me to say. Yeah. I mean, there was no goaltend there, despite what some would have you believe. And it's just another case where, no wonder the Wolfpack celebrated, and rightfully so, when they beat North Carolina in the ACC tournament last year, because they cannot beat the Tar Heels with any consistency in basketball.
No, it's back to reality for the Pack. The great run last year, you look at the roster and the team, and you can't take away from their run. It's why it was called, generational basically last year, because they can't sustain success. So, the fans are now kind of back to, I don't want to use the term afterthought as being offensive, because their fans love it, but in terms of Tobacco Road, well, now they're kind of back to where they were. And as a Duke fan, I'm not saying I've memorized January 27th, 8:30 p.m. ESPN, but that is when the Wolfpack go to Durham, and there might be some revenge had there as well for the end of last year.
We're talking to Travis Hancock, T-Bone from WFNZ in the mornings out in Charlotte. Mike Vrabel headed to the Patriots. That makes a lot of sense, and probably – while they'll be on their third coach in 3 years, I think an upgrade from what they had, and even an upgrade from the end of the Belichick era.
No, he's the perfect guy. It makes you wonder why it couldn't happen, a year ago when that job was open. But Robert Kraft had that plan in place for Gerard Mayo. It didn't work out. Mayo's their guy too, but Vrabel really feels like their guy. He's from the early Brady years. I think he's the perfect guy at the perfect time. And the thing about Vrabel is he would have fit in about anywhere. He would have fit in Chicago, the Jets. If Mike Tomlin ever moved on from Pittsburgh, he would have been great because of his mentality for that city. So he's one of those guys, you could see him in about 10 different places, but he goes back to where he had the most success in his career, and it probably won't take long for him with Drake May as his quarterback, to fix that. And that's, the Patriots aren't going to be down for long. They had their little downtime, but it's not going to be too long, it appears.
So for the old school guys, the old heads like me, because you're such a young guy, T-Bone, I'm an old codger at this point.
Aging rapidly.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Jerome Jurinovich, who used to be on CNN Sports back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Big Steelers fan. and he had this rant that he put on social today. It was fantastic. And you mentioned Tomlin. 4 seasons of his 18 seasons, he's had a playoff win. Only 4. Hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. Since Tomlin's last playoff win, 28 other head coaches have won at least one playoff game. Andy Reid was let go in Philly. All right, Doug Peterson hired. Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl with Philly, was fired, hired by the Jags, won a playoff game and was fired. Dan Quinn famously lost in the Super Bowl, the Falcons did, to the Patriots. Quinn was fired from the Falcons, spent 3 years as the DC in Dallas, hired by the Commandos, and then took them to a playoff win yesterday. All of that has happened since Tomlin's last win. Tomlin, with Big Ben 8-9 in the playoffs, 0-2 in the post-Big Ben era. And there was a really good one on here. The 6 losses in a row in the playoffs are the most of any coach that has a Super Bowl. I mean, I understand the owner is a shell of his dad and his granddad and all, but I mean, and I'm not a Steeler. I couldn't care less. But it's time in Pittsburgh, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels like it. There's a crazy stat, and I don't have it in front of me because I'm on my phone, but like his last 6 playoff losses, I think all 6 in a row I think he's had, the scores of what they've gotten down by before they've actually scored a touchdown is insane. They're down like 14-21 almost every game in that run where they're not even competitive. So I'm a big Mike Tomlin guy, and much like Vrabel, you could see him fitting in anywhere, including TV, who seems like they're really ready to throw some money at him for television. I don't know if he's going to get fired in Pittsburgh because they don't seem to fire coaches. I don't think they're going to trade him. So it's going to have to be one of those things where Tomlin's probably going to move on when he wants to. But it does feel like it's time. You mentioned Andy Reid in your breakdown. And remember, Andy Reid leaves Philadelphia, and it ends up being the best thing to happen for all parties involved. Philadelphia goes on, wins the championship, and the Chiefs and go on, and they become the Chiefs, and Andy Reid becomes one of the best of all time. So feels like it's about time. They're kind of stuck in neutral, and part of the issue with Pittsburgh is this. He's almost too good to rectify it because they're never bad. They're always like good. So they're never really picking that high in the draft. They can't go get the top quarterback in the draft. He's always got them good. And in a weird way, it's a detriment to the cause because they probably need to do some rebuilding. But he's always got them at least decent to the playoffs. And they can't do it because they don't have the high enough picks every year to do it. So it's kind of a weird situation right now in Pittsburgh. But yeah, you're right. I think it's about time to Andy Reid this thing and move on somewhere else for Mike Tomlin.
All right, so McCarthy and the Cowboys do not reach an agreement. So the Cowboys are in the market for a head coach. Is that the most desirable job of the openings in the NFL right now, in your opinion?
Yeah, the only problem is Jerry Jones, right? I mean, it depends on what that coach thinks of Jerry Jones because you've got Micah Parsons, you've got CeeDee Lamb, you've got a quarterback in place who's not the greatest in the league, but you can still win with. So there's a lot going on there where you can win. Jerry's very loyal to his coaches, so he'll probably give you time. But can you work with Jerry Jones? That's been the big question for a long time. So, yeah, but the Jets are a mess. Jacksonville's a mess. The Bears are always a mess, and you go on. And, you know, the Cowboys are a little bit of a drama situation, but they win there as opposed to the other organizations. So I would say based off the other teams that are open right now, I think New England was probably the best because of Drake May and Robert Kraft. But yeah, I'd say Dallas is probably the most desirable. Yeah.
Who are the candidates in your mind that could coach there and have some success in Dallas?
That's a really good question. Obviously, we're going to see a lot of people bring up Deion Sanders' name. I don't know if it's possible, but because of his connections to the Cowboys, that's going to be the far-fetched one. I haven't really I don't know, because I thought Mike McCarthy was going to stay, so I haven't really thought about the names for Dallas. I don't think if he was out there, I don't think Mike Tomlin would actually fit there, because I don't think Mike Tomlin and Jerry Jones would be a great mix together. I'm not sure. Have you seen any names for Dallas? I don't know. I haven't really seen any names yet because it's so fresh. Do you have any names that you've seen for Dallas? I don't really know.
I was driving up from the beach and heard on the radio. So, I mean, I haven't had a chance to go through it by the time I got here and all that. Let me ask you this, though.
Kellen Moore, the former coach there, he's probably going to come up, I guess, because Jerry's always had a thing for him. So that might be one. Who's in Philly now?
I'd love if Dion were there. That'd be great. You talk about must-watch television. It'd be fantastic. And I think Dion wants to get out of Colorado very badly right now. Will McCarthy be coaching somewhere next year?
Yeah, I mean, he could come up for the Bears job. I mean, that feels like that might be a thing that happens. It's hard to tell with the Jets opening because they've interviewed like 37 people. So I can't really figure out the Jets angle of it. But yeah, Mike McCarthy to the Bears could be picking up steam here. It wouldn't surprise me if Mike McCarthy is with the Bears. That would not shock me at all. That seems to be a thing that can happen.
Until last night, the NFL playoff games have all been kind of meh.
Right.
I think tonight could be really good and interesting. It'll be compelling for a number of reasons on the field, and then all the horrific things that are going on off the field in Los Angeles and the Rams being involved in the moving of the game. When you look at tonight's game, do you think it will match the drama potentially of last night?
Yeah, I think it'll be much closer to last night than the other games. And part of that is, I respect the journey of Sam Darnold. I think it's a pretty cool story that a guy can go through what he went through and being, at least an MVP caliber player for this. He won't get it, I know, but he's been good enough. And then he doesn't play well against the Lions. So the questions start, what Darnold are we going to get tonight? Is it going to be the guy that's been fairly dominant throughout the year? Is it the guy that struggles? I don't have a feel for him tonight. It could go either way. But I think when you've got Jefferson and Addison and all the offensive weapons, Hawkinson for the Vikings, then you throw in McVay and Stafford and Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. I think tonight is very, very relatively even, more so than the records indicate. I think it's going to be very, very, very it's going to be much more compelling than the other games, closer to the game we saw last night. Yeah, I think so. I don't have a great feel for this game tonight, to be honest with you.
Yeah. All right. Week from tonight, we'll have the national championship for college football, the championship of the college football playoff. We get Notre Dame and Ohio State. So from a television perspective, the worldwide leader's got to be happy because you get two really big national name brands. Who do you a week out? Who do you like in that and why?
Well, I had a vibe late last week, and I may ride it out because everything's pointing to Ohio State. All the talent. I'm going somewhere with this, so hear me out. All the NFL talent on offense, all the talent on defense, and Notre Dame certainly not an upstart. They're very talented, but it's more. It's a running quarterback. It's not a dominant offensive force per se. They run the football. It really does remind me so much of January 2003 when Miami played Ohio State. Miami had all the NFL talent, one of the most loaded teams ever. Ohio State came in, Craig Krenzel. We didn't think they were going to win the game. They weren't necessarily spectacular, but they just kept winning, and they kept winning. And next thing you know, they beat the Miami Hurricanes in one of the great games of all time. The way Ohio State played Texas, I thought they were going to crush Texas. They didn't. They still had their moments, and they can score in a moment on either side of the ball. I have this sense that Notre Dame's going to hang in this thing. I don't know what it is about this Notre Dame team, who's only 2 games have played within single digits this season for Notre Dame besides their loss. Last week was one of them. They've beaten everybody by double digits except for Louisville and Penn State last week. So they've been fairly dominant. I don't know. I have this weird sense that Notre Dame might stun the world. I just have this feeling about it.
I think it'll be close. I don't see it as a blowout either way. I'd be shocked if that were the case. All right, the great Travis Hancock with us here. Thank you, T-Bone, very much. Great to talk to you. We'll talk to you again down the road very, very soon, I hope.
Hey, maybe in a couple of years we'll talk about the Panthers in the wild card game.
Maybe. Could be next year, but someday.
Hey, it's any given year, man. Any given year.
Yeah, that's the truth. I think they may have found something at the end of the year. It's just can you?
I do too.
Can you run it back? That's the thing.
Yeah, that's
all right.
Yep.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you. Okay. Bye.
All right, Pilk. There you go. T-Bone says your Panthers. Couple years in the wild card. What do you think?
I would love it. That's our Panthers, not just mine. It's me and T-Bone. T-Bone's big,
Yes. You guys together.
Yeah, man. Look, now that Bryce looks comfortable, it's about building the defense. It's about getting him another weapon. And I think you got a good head coach and a good quarterback, and that's a start. And you're playing in a division that, Tampa's solid, but New Orleans is a dumpster fire. Atlanta's Atlanta. They've been to the playoffs since 2017, same time the Panthers made it last. So, hey, look, a lot of opportunities there.
All right, we're going to wrap up our portion of the Patrick Johnson Show from here at Tiebreakers, put William to work, and then we're going to remind you that we'll be out at the arena tomorrow at 5 o'clock for the Patrick Johnson Show. Justin Bear with ECU Sports Marketing, Dave Barnett, who is the formerly of ESPN and Major League Baseball, now calls the games for North Texas, his alma mater. Scheduled to be by, and of course the great Cy Seymour. Dom Kasulki will be there. We'll see if Kasulki will be out in a good mood or a mood where he's melancholy because his Vikes win or lose tonight. It'll all depend on that. All right, Pilk will do an update when we come back from this commercial break, and then Pilk will carry you the rest of the way home here on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game, 94.3thegame.com, and the IBX Media app. And we, of course, will catch you tomorrow in the morning on Talk of the Town, coming up at the top of the hour for Inside Pirate Athletics, and then tomorrow for Minji's with the PJ Show. Pilk with an update on the other side.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligator.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt & Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt & Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligator.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience.
Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, Newbern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Philip Pilkington here with your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. Former Pirate Jeff Hoffman has signed a 3-year deal worth $33 million to move over to the Blue Jays from the Phillies. Pirates swim team swept the William & Mary quad meet over the weekend to improve to 10-1 on the season after defeating William & Mary, Old Dominion, and Central Connecticut State. Basketball will be back in action tomorrow inside Williams Arena, Minges Coliseum just after 7 o'clock tip. Airtime right here on 94.3 The Game and our sister station 107.9 WNCT at 6:30 as they host the Mean Green of North Texas. NFL playoffs continue tonight from Glendale, Arizona, as the Rams and Vikings will do battle. The winner will head to the city of brotherly love on Sunday, to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Mike McCarthy is out in Dallas after 5 seasons. He went 49-35 in his career and 1-3 in the playoffs in his time in Dallas. One head coaching vacancy has been filled. It is announced that Mike Vrabel, who played for the Patriots from 2001 to 2008, will getting his second head coaching job. He was previously with the Titans from 2018 through 2023. That'll do it for 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. We're going to take a final timeout here on the Patrick Johnson Show. We'll be back to wrap it up right after this.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed, meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
This holiday season, get the gift you really want at Greenville Toyota. It's our holiday trade-up. Drive a new Corolla, just $229 a month, or a new Tacoma, only $329 a month, during the holiday trade-up at Greenville Toyota.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves Tiebreakers.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
Let's go! Woo! Woo! Yeah! Football time!
Set the tone. Kyle, tie your shoes, tie your shoes. Yeah, good job.
Woo!
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Unwrap a new Toyota for the holidays at Greenville Toyota. It's our holiday trade-up. Get a new Camry, $269 a month, or a new RAV4, $329 a month. Trade up and save at Greenville Toyota.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team.
Stop by today, Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
And now, the stunning conclusion of the show. It's the P-Man here on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back into the Patrick Johnson Show as we get set to wrap it up. P-Man getting ready for Inside Pirate Athletics from Tiebreakers, which can be heard right here on 94.3 The Game at the top of the hour. I'm Philip Pilkington. I will be taking you home this evening, and I was going to hit a little more on this Coach K comment about the Big East in the ACC merger. Do I think it's going to happen? No, probably not. But, hey, if they need to counter the Mega Football Conference, the Mega Basketball Conference, I get it. But had a little fun today with it, just because, and hypothetically merged the ACC and the Big East. That would be a 29-team conference. Right now there's 18 in the ACC, 11 in the Big East. The Big East currently plays 20 conference games. You just play everybody home and away, so pretty simple. The ACC also plays 20. You play, I guess, all 17 teams once, and then you get 3 teams twice. So that one's a little more simple. Now, 18 was the old number that conferences used to kind of go off of, and I actually did a little model here with an 18-team slate, or 18-game slate between a mega Big East ACC conference. So first off, I know people don't like divisions, but I feel like it was the only way to make schedules and to guarantee certain teams to play each other twice a year. So I did 5 divisions. Tried to keep it as geographical as possible, keep teams in the same states together. Georgia Tech, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, SMU. The out west division would be Cal, Stanford, Creighton, DePaul, Marquette. That put a division with UAV, Virginia Tech, Georgetown, Louisville, Xavier. Then UConn, BC, Providence, Notre Dame, Butler, and then kind of a New York-ish division, New Jersey division of St. John's, Seton Hall, Villanova, Pitt, Cuse, and then one division of 4 teams, because there's 29, being the 4 here in North Carolina. Here's my view on how this could work. You take each division, you play everyone in division twice. So there you play in your rivals twice, home and away. So for 5 out of the 6 divisions, that's 8 games. We'll get to the Carolina division in a second. And then you'd play 2 other divisions. You'd host one division home, one division away. Simple. There you go. 18 games. Now, the 2 teams, or the 2 divisions that had to play the Carolina division that only has 4 teams that would need an extra game, and then they could just play 1 game against another team that also was playing that Carolina's division. So, for example, if that whole South division played the 4 Carolina teams one year, SMU could then play an extra game against someone else who also played all the Carolina teams, like a Virginia Tech. Let's just use that for example. But here's the catch. The Carolina teams would need 2 more games. They'd only be at 16. So what if they played a 3rd game against 2 out of the 3 teams, and instead of a home game, you did a doubleheader at the Greensboro Coliseum? They used to have the old ACC little preseason deal where the 4 North Carolina teams would play a 3-game tournament. So one night you have Wake play State, Duke play Carolina for a 3rd time, theoretically. And then, 2 weeks later, State and Carolina play, Duke and Wake play. So that one year, Duke and State wouldn't have a 3rd game. That year, Carolina and Wake wouldn't have a 3rd game. And whoever you don't play a 3rd time just rotates throughout the years. Or maybe you have a team you always don't play a 3rd time. Maybe, Carolina plays State and Duke 3 times every year, and, they don't play Wake. And then obviously Carolina, or that would make State and Duke not play a 3rd time. So I don't know. I know that's a lot, and it's fast, but we're short on time. But that's just a way. With 29 teams, you'd save the Duke-Carolina rivalry. You'd save the Carolina State rivalry. They'd still play each other twice. The scheduling would work. Yes, it would stink you wouldn't play everybody in your conference, but at least with divisions, it would give a reason to schedule certain teams. It keeps it somewhat geographic. At least here with because I had Marquette, Creighton, DePaul, and the 2 California schools together. You're not getting that close to California, but Nebraska, Wisconsin, Illinois are a heck of a lot closer to California than, the traditional ACC schools. So I don't know. I kept try to keep Butler and Indiana together, or in Notre Dame together, because they're both in Indiana. So just a few things to toy with. I don't think this will happen. I personally don't think it's a great idea, but if it did, because I always think, hey, if this happened, how would the scheduling work? Well, there's a model for you. You play everybody in your division twice. You play 2 other divisions. And then, like I said, if you got stuck playing the division with 4, then you would just play 1 game against somebody from the other division that also played that Carolinas division or whatever you would call it. So, Tobacco Road division, I don't know. But, yeah, there's a little bit of just an interesting, fun little thing to do to wrap up the last few minutes of this show. And with that being said, it's almost time for Inside Pirate Athletics. P-Man will be over at Tiebreakers. Isaac will be producing that one. And 90-minute edition of the Patrick Johnson Show tomorrow. Myself, PJ, Dom, Justin Bear is going to be on it. Cy Seymour, and said the play-by-play guy from North Texas. I don't remember what he said his name was, so bad promo there on my end, so I apologize. But it'll be a fun 90-minute edition, lead you into Pirate basketball coverage. We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks to T-Bone. Thanks to William for setting everything up at Tiebreakers for the P-Man. And thank you guys for tuning in. So stay tuned to Inside Pirate Athletics right here on 94.3 The Game, top of the hour.